Just so it's clear, I'm not ranking by like strength, I'm not ranking by annoyance, I'm ranking by how well do I think it's designed. You know, it's so like design is like multiple. Design is multiple like things that affect it, right? It's like is it fun to fight? Does it have interesting abilities? When does it show up? Does its abilities make sense for when it shows up? What's the counterplay? Is the counterplay different on multiple jobs, right? It's like all things I'm gonna consider, but I'm not going to like list out everything, every monster. It's mostly a feel thing, you know, like I could rank those very fast, but we're gonna like spend time and talk about it. But like it's a feel thing, right? Like it's possible I'm gonna say something about a monster, and then I'm gonna rank a monster 20 monsters later. I say like the opposite thing, but like it's mostly a feel thing. You know, like how well do I think it's designed? Also, I don't think all designs are intentional, but I'm not really gonna think about that too much. Like I think there's some things that just kind of like they work in a way that is just basically RNG, but I'm still gonna just assume it's all like designed intentionally. I won't subtract points because I think something's an accident. Alright, so anyway, let's begin. So very first one, that's a pretty that's like every rare monster in PotD. This one's particular, it's like one of the rare monsters in the Higher Forge of PotD. So the thing with the rare monster is it's like, I think it's a good idea. It's fun that there's like a rare monster that you can only encounter on specific sets. It's like different, it's pretty rare. Now the thing that I don't like about this monster though is the fact that it has no abilities of any kind, right? It's like it'd be way more cool if like you encountered that guy on a specific set on like 151, and then it's like the pirate and he has like some move that's a pirate, you know, pirate related. Even if it's just a tank boss, like even if it was just something silly like a tank buster, but at least it's called like, I don't know, like, you know, butler, like a swashbuckler hit or something, you know, like at the very least, you know, if it had something. But the thing with the rare monsters, they're all the same. They're basically mimics that don't do anything. They have a cool interaction where they don't get affected by witch chain, and they also have a cool interaction where they're undead, so you can resolution them. But like the fact that they don't do anything unique by themselves, like it's definitely not. It's a cool idea, but I can't really rank it that high considering it's just doesn't do anything unique. It has cool interaction with the palms, and it's cool. It's rare and it's different. I would put it in average. Like there's I'm like 99.9% sure we're gonna be shuffling around the ranks as I put more, right? Like so, like we'll just use this as a baseline for now, but. Things are gonna get shuffled around, don't worry. Okay, so anyway, let's begin with the real monsters now. So the Shepti, PotD Shepti. Usually first thing you're gonna fight when you enter 151. He has low damage. He has a line AoE that's like really fast. It goes up really fast. It just keeps you on your toes. I mean, if you're chiding away from him, you just kind of like to keep it in mind so you can sidestep. I think it's a decent monster, honestly. It's like, especially where it is, like it's right at the beginning of 151. It's like one of the very first things you fight when the floors get hard. So it's honestly, it's nice because it's like it warms you up. I believe it's not a true one shot if you get hit by the line. Maybe it can crit you, which is also like a little plus. I think that abilities can crit you in PotD, because then if you get hit, you're not like guaranteed to die, but maybe you're gonna die if it crits. I can't really remember like which ones crit and can't crit specifically. But I definitely have survived getting hit by the Shepti. Like, I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't say it's definitely not a masterpiece. Like, well designed, decent. It's like a little bit between these two, right? We'll put in decent for now. I really have no dislike for the Shepti. He's just kind of there and he's chill for where he is. Next is the Pudding. I think it's called the Pudding, PotD anyway. This guy is kind of interesting. So this guy is a hard-hitting caster. So like, if you stand near him, he's gonna like basically attack you with the spell he does, but he also has like kind of a tank buster that he does in melee range. So if you're close to him, you're gonna hit a lot more damage. But then he has an interesting mechanic where On pull, he will like run towards you. Well, run. He will goop towards you, and then he's as soon as he reaches you, he stops, and then it's kind of like he's like locked. From this moment, he no longer will try to run up to you, right? Which actually makes this monster kind of nice, because it's like you pull him, and then as you pull him, you decide where the fight's gonna happen, and then if you're like really optimal, you can move just before he does the Tank Buster on you. And now you just have to stay at a distance, but then if you're a melee, it's not like you have to. Like, he's not that crazy in melee. He's not gonna like one-shot you, so you can still like trade hits in melee, but you can like play around the cooldown of his Tank Buster, reduce his damage, etc. I think it's a well-designed monster. He's also proximity. I personally don't really dislike proximity monsters. I only dislike them if they're like in a kind of like you know, if they're at a point where like everything's proximity or something, right? But like at the point he is, there's not really much, if any, proximity. Like I think maybe the pot shows up around the tofu, or maybe he's a little bit earlier. Can't remember. I think it's a well-designed monster though. I like the fact that he runs up to you and then he stops in his tracks. It's like, it's a little optimization you can play around with. PotD deep eye. So there's a lot of deep eyes. Definitely gonna need a compendium to like kind of jar up my memory a bit, but like this one only does a gaze, I think, and he's a Tank Buster monster, but like he's an early game Tank Buster monster, so he's it's not like that dangerous. He can catch you off guard, but it's not that dangerous. And yeah, he has a gaze, a cone gaze that does not do much if it hits you, just puts a paralyze on you. I mean, I think the fact that there's an early Tank Buster is cool, because it just like shows you what it's gonna be like when you keep climbing, where you just keep getting like the Tank Busters, they keep like, you know, increasing in power. Though the tofu is also kind of showing that. I mean, do I really get excited about fighting this guy? Like, I think he's average. I don't think he's really that interesting. Also, his cone is it's not very clear that it's a cone, because it shows you it shows you like the indicator for a gaze attack, but it doesn't actually show a cone or anything. So yeah, you just have to know, like, right, that it's a cone. And then even if you fail it, it's not very punishing. I'd say it's average. Don't have much else to say about it. Gremlin is very easy monster that has a very weak Tank Buster, maybe. I don't even remember. I think he does, but he puts a Vuln on you. But like the Vuln is really weak. Even in a big AoE pull, you don't really like think of the Vuln, and then he has a cast. Like, there's really, this guy is really, I think he's not that interesting. Which, you know, now that I keep saying the word uninteresting, I think this is perfect for this tier. Uninteresting. So I would say the Gremlin is definitely an uninteresting monster. It doesn't really stand out. His Vuln could be cool. Like, it could be a cool attack that you have to, like, you know, like he Vulns you, and then maybe you have like, you know, it's like a powerful Vuln, and then it actually matters. But because it's, I don't even know if it's 20%. It feels like 10%. It doesn't even stack up or anything. It's just not like, you know, he might as well not have it. And then if he might as well not have it, then it's definitely not a very interesting monster. Which, as a reminder, we're not ranking by like how easy or fun are they to fight, but just like if I was ranking them by easy, then he'd be at the top. If I was ranking them by like how annoying are they, then he would be like not annoying at all. But we're ranking by like design, right? Straight up. So I would put him there. The pot is a Tank Buster monster. His Tank Buster, he does it semi-often. It's also a range attack. I think the pot is range. I don't know if he's like full range for his attacks too, but he definitely like is gonna come to you anyway. His Tank Buster is range though. He also opens up with the gaze attack every time. The gaze puts a blind on you. He's proximity and he's pretty big, so you're very likely to have to fight him. I think it's a decent monster. I like the fact that the Tank Buster is a range attack. I like that I like that he opens up with like something else, and then he goes into his like tank buster phase. It's a bit like a baby on Rio in that sense, like where he has like a burst, like a bursty phase, and then he has like the rest phase. Also, you can stun him, right? And then you can stun for uptime on the gaze because it's a 360 this time. You can stun for uptime, or you can stun like right when it finishes, because he always does tank buster after the attack, so you can maybe like delay tank buster by a bit. I think it's a decent monster. The Marolit, that is a patrol that patrols, of course. It has a tank buster. It's a pretty... It's starting to hit a little hard if you're just facing that guy. It's a proximity patrol that's like kind of big, honestly. And then he does a circle AoE, which I think is a stun if you get it. Yeah, it's a 5-second stun if you get it. That's pretty dangerous. I don't think it's necessarily gonna one-shot you, but if you're on a DPS and you gotta like survive a 5-second stun after, that's bad news. But like, you know, on a tank you could probably survive. So this is a patrol. I think patrols are inherently more interesting than non-patrols because they actually like move around. You have to think about fighting them. I don't know if we're going to have like, you know, bad patrols, but Marut's definitely one of the least interesting patrols, I'd say. Like, he patrols, he hits a little bit hard. I guess he's showing you that, you know, patrols, they don't mess around with their tank busters. Being proximity, you're really going to fight this guy quite often. His AoE is okay. Like, it gives you some time to do damage to him. I don't know. I'm not really talking about him right there. I don't really get excited about him. I feel like the Shepti was more interesting than the Marolit. Like, Shepti doesn't hit nearly as hard, but the little line AoE that's really quick, I think it's cooler than the Marolit. Yeah, I think an average for now. We'll see if this might be one of those that we shuffle around. We'll see. I don't remember this guy's name. He's called the Habaya. The Habaya, right. So the Habaya. So this is just a regular monster. So he does like multiple things. He shoots at you from other rooms. I think that's cool. And also it's like the thing he shoots, it's not gonna one-shot you, but it's kind of small. So like, you know, it's just something you have to pay a little bit of attention to. When you're fighting this guy, he will just do a telegraph on you. Doesn't hit really hard at all. If you keep him in combat for a while, like I think 40 seconds or something, he's gonna like do a mini enrage that just gives him a lot of damage. I think it doubles his damage. Pretty noticeable if you're doing like AoE pulls. Not that noticeable if you're just trying to clear solo. I mean, just for the fact that it shoots you when you're in other rooms. But it's not like... It's not an obnoxious AoE, which No, I'm not saying like it's bad to have an obnoxious outcome ability, but it'd be kind of early to have like a very obnoxious ability. Like, that guy was on the higher floors. I don't think I would be like nice to him, but because he's just kind of like... I think he's in the correct spot for what he does. I would say he's indecent. What's up, Gently? Hope you're having a good Sunday. So far, I don't know. Nothing that crazy, I think. Like, let me just you know, make sure I'm not doing things that don't make sense. But like, do I think that Gremlin is the least interesting monster in what we just saw? Yes, for sure. It's like no doubt. Like, the DPI is honestly close, but I still think that Gremlin is less interesting than the Gremlin. Sorry, than the DPI. Do I think the Tofu is the more interesting monster in all of those? The most well designed? Yes. And I think it's significantly more well designed. Like, it's not a masterpiece, but like maybe these deserve to be closer to average, you know? But anyway, this does make sense. Is this a nat tier list? This is a how well designed do I think the monsters are tier list. So it's pretty subjective. It's not like their strength, it's not like their fun, it's like how well designed do I find them. So the Imp, okay, the Imp, there's a lot going on. The Imp, the Devilet, I think he's called. So he just he's a caster, first of all. He will cast at you X amount of times, depending on how much you move them around. After this, is gonna do an Ice Spike, followed by a Void Blizzard, which I think are always back to back. So yeah, there's a lot of like decision making with the Devilet, because you can stun the Ice Spike and run away from the Void Blizzard, or tank the Void Blizzard, or interrupt and stun, so like you don't get both. You can let the Ice Spike go through, then stun or interrupt the Void Blizzard, turn off auto attack, you don't kill yourself, or you can stun the Void Blizzard and still auto attack, but like just just be ready to tank the damage. And then if you do get the Void Blizzard, it's not like a GG, but it's like you were definitely punished. I think like you were definitely punished for not handling it correctly. You can even outrun the Void Blizzard, so it's not like you can't do anything. Even if you're a healer, there's like counterplay that guy. In fact, he might even be sleepable. I don't remember, but I think he is sleepable. Yeah, he is. So anyway, this guy, lots of counterplay. Like, like, don't get me wrong, it's an annoying monster to fight, but like it's not like annoying in a bad way. It's like it's annoying because he does so much, and then there's so many ways to handle him. Honestly, I think it's a well-designed monster. Like, it's an interesting monster. Like, the reflect mechanic is kind of scuffed the way it works, because it's your auto attack damage, but it doesn't like kill you if you fuck it up. Like, it's kind of your responsibility to keep your health up when you're fighting that imp. Like, you wouldn't really be staying at 10% HP and just hoping your auto attack doesn't go off, right? You just kind of be staying healthy against that guy. So I think he's a well-designed monster. Oh man, the Soul Flare, Mind Flare. Okay, this guy. Like, honestly, I really dislike fighting that guy. Do I think he's well designed though, despite not liking fighting that guy? He's a caster again, which does a circle AoE until at point blank, usually first, sometimes after his Tank Buster, and his Tank Buster is a life drain skill. There's some counterplay, because if you use a shield, or like anything that reduces his damage, you're gonna like prevent some or all of the lifesteal. So like you can kind of play around this. Also, you can stun him, so you can like delay it a bit. However, when he appears, it's very rare that you have to fight him, because he's first of all, he's not proximity, he's not really in the way, and there's like multiple good options with him. Like, it's happened a few times that I've had to fight a Soul Flare, but like it's rare, honestly. So like, he's kind of a monster that makes the fight dragon, and then you avoid him because he makes the fight dragon, and you don't really have to interact with him too much. And then when you accidentally pull it, it can be spicy if it's like bad debuffs and you're like a job that's not very strong. I mean, it's definitely not an uninteresting monster. But honestly, I don't know. I'm trying not to get biased by the fact that I really don't like fighting them. It's not that well designed. Like, the lifesteal, there's some counterplay, but it's also kind of obnoxious. Like, it makes the fight really bad if you've got like a job with bad DPS and you're in Gloom. And you can counterplay the lifesteal once or twice, but you can't really counterplay it like every time. Because at this level, at level 60, you don't really have tools to deal with. Like, if this was in a higher level, and then I was playing White Mage, and I would have multiple shields, put on myself and prevent a lifesteal. But because of the level he's at, you don't really have tools to deal with it. I think it's average. Despite having like a somewhat unique ability with a lifesteal, I think it's not really... It's kind of an average design. If only because of like when this, like in which deep dungeon this guy appears. And the floors he's on in general. Anyway, the Taurus. That is a monster that does a circle on himself. And that's it. I mean, not much to say about this guy. He doesn't have any kind of enrage or anything. He just mashes you. It doesn't do very much damage either. I think it's uninteresting. Like, it's It's like maybe bad. Like it has really nothing going for it, and even like it's also late in the set. Let me just yeah, he started appearing on the 4 last floors, which is when the soul flares appear. But like that's what I was saying, right? It's like it's kind of a bad time for both of them, because now you're gonna fight these guys non-stop because the mind flare is bad, but then the mind flare is not proximity, so you actually don't really have to interact with it too much. It's on. I don't think it's a very interesting monster. Hesitating between bad and uninteresting, but I think like that is fine. Okay, the what is it called? Archdemon. The Archdemon. Okay, this guy. So can be stunned. This guy's interesting actually, because I think 99% of the time opens up with the cone. Maybe it doesn't open up with the cone if you like kite him a lot, but at least if you're like doing a... What I do usually is I pull that guy and I'm gonna face tank him. He's always gonna do the cone. Then he's gonna like attack you once-ish, and then he's gonna do like a paralyze. But like what's interesting about that paralyze is it's a very fast cast that you can't react to, but you can like... Sorry, you can kind of like if you know the timing, you can sort of stun, and then it's gonna stun during the cast bar, right? The cast bar is super fast. It's like 0.5 second, maybe. It's maybe even a little bit faster than that. It's very fast, so you can't really react, but you can like kind of stun it at the right time. That's kind of cool, honestly. It's like a small optimization. If you do get stunned, paralyzed, sorry, then he's still gonna cone you, so you have to like kind of keep that in mind. So you have to like stay... It basically if you get paralyzed, you lose the ability to face tank him well, because then now you have to be inside his hitbox so you can go behind him really fast, or you have to kite away from him and just accept the fact that you're gonna get like stunned over and over. And also you need room to kite if you're gonna do that. I think it's a fairly interesting monster. It's also a proximity patrol, so you're very likely to have to interact with those. It's not really a monster that's easy to avoid, so you don't have to deal with his bullshit. You don't have to plan for it. You don't have to plan some space to fight him. You don't have to plan your stun cooldown if you're a melee or a tank, right? If you're a healer, it's maybe a little bit less interesting, because you're just gonna Isuna the paralyze anyway, right? I think though it's a fairly well designed monster. I think it's a pretty interesting monster. I've lost runs with this guy too. He's actually like, he's pretty strong in the damage he does. He's a good like last monster in the set, right? It's like he wraps it up nice, I think, and he hurts. I've died to him once or twice, lost a run. Because when you get the paralyze, it's like you have to find a way to deal with it, because then you're gonna get damaged way more. Don't forget to put all the mimics into Masterpiece. I thought about ranking the mimics too, but I might still rank the mimic at the end. We'll see. But it's because it's kind of hard to rank the mimics like all in one, because I feel like it's different between the deep dungeons. How much I would like they're all the same monster, but because they're in different like, and also it's like different sets. Like I don't think they're all the same in all the sets, so like it was getting a bit complicated. I found it hard to like put it somewhere in a specific spot. Okay, so that's all the set. That's the first set, and we got like 13 more sets to go. We're gonna have to grab the pace a bit. Do you have a rare PTD mobs in this tier list? Yes, this first guy, the first average. What I was saying about him, cool idea, bad execution, not very interesting, right? Cool idea that it's a rare monster, but not really well executed. That's how I felt about him. Alright, the Tursus. So this guy is a patrol. He's a side patrol, so you can avoid him. He has a somewhat unavoidable slow. It's very hard to burst him down before he does it on most DPS. You can prevent it, I think, if you shield more than it's gonna hit you, but it hits pretty hard. So like the most of the time when I pull the Tursus, it's like so there's a thing that's cool about him being sight and in him having like a kind of unavoidable slow. It's that there's a DR that kicks in, the diminishing return, right? That's also true for the Art Demon, by the way. That's also true for the Art Demon. Like you can also use the DR on the Art Demon, so that's also a plus for it. But like basically, what you can do on the floor with the Tursus is you can just kind of like try not fight them right away, and then once you have like 2 or 3 like that you just lined up, then you fight all of them back to back, because then you get DR, diminishing returns, on the slow, right? So there's a little bit of optimization there, and then the slow itself you can of course, so you can try and get a bit shield so it doesn't hurt as much. He doesn't hurt that much. I think it's a decent monster. I'd like it, like if you could also stun like the slow or something, I maybe would like it a little bit more, but I think it's fine. There's like some counterplay, mostly in like pulling him, right? If he was proximity, I would bump him down, because like, then if he was proximity, it's like if he was proximity, there would be no way to deal with it, like really. But because you can deal with it by avoiding him for like a few pulls and then pulling all of them at the end, I think it's decent. Alright, this guy is the Lindworm. I mean, you know, uninteresting. Only does it. It's basically like the Taurus of this set, except it's a cone instead of a circle, so it's even easier to get out of his thing. Nothing to say about him, really. This one is the Croc. So that's... So see, it's like, this is a bit what I was saying about like when the monsters appear also kind of affects how I feel about their design, because this isn't inherently an interesting monster. All he does is attack you and double, and he has a tank buster. So he's a double throw attacker, but he's like in a good spot, because he's like early in the 160s. He's basically the pot of this set, right? It's kind of like... It's kind of like the pot of this set. He's kind of like the guy that's showing you what kind of damage you should expect. He's just like a hard hitter. Like, but he doesn't have to do anything crazy. He's just there to show you that the kind of damage you're gonna be taking is gonna like keep increasing, right? I think it's decent, honestly. Like, I think it's decent. It wouldn't be decent if he was in a different spot, but he's like early in the set. He doesn't quite have the one-shot potential, but like, he's getting close, right? Like if you get a crit in the auto, you're gonna get pretty low. You can stun him, you can sleep him. You can do a lot of things to him. Pretty sure you can slow him bind. I don't have a lot of experience on range GPS. I'm pretty sure you can slow and bind him as well. So I think I think I would say he's decently designed. All right, the Sarko. So this guy is like, he's like uninteresting, but he has such a fat fucking hitbox that he's kind of funny, because then if you pull multiple of them, it's just kind of silly that they push each other. But I don't know, like, would that really make it a little bit more interesting? I mean, definitely makes it a little bit more interesting. Something about the Sarko too is he doesn't hurt like crazy, but he hurts a little more than the other monsters. He has no tank buster though. Also, his cone is like a very long cooldown. So it's like the timing you're used to for other monsters doesn't work on the Sarko. Would I say that makes him not uninteresting? No. I think he's still an uninteresting monster. Alright, the Wyver. The Wyver is the Croc, but like way stronger. And if I'm not wrong, the Wyver starts spawning when the Croc starts disappearing, I think. Let me just remind myself. Yeah, the Croc appears for the first 5 floors and the Wyver is on the 3rd floor. So you've had... When the Wyver shows up, you've had 2 floors to like get used to the damage of the Croc, and then they show you, right, like the real damage, right? Wyver hurts a lot. It's still not like a clean one-shot, but it's getting damn close if you get a bad crit and an auto at the same time. He spams that 10 buster, probably as much as the Croc. It's like 12-second cooldown or something. His proximity, so you gotta deal with him. I honestly think it's a well-designed monster. Despite not doing any abilities, it's like he's in a really good time of this. It's like you just have time to get used to the damage with the Croc, and now they're gonna like they throw you a curveball, right? They throw you a one that's like it hits a little harder. You can still stun him, bind him, slow him, everything. Well, at least I think. No, you cannot bind him, but you can slow, you can sleep, and you can stun, right? So you can still use most of your CCs, but he hits harder and he's proximity, so you have to deal with him. Like there's no, if you spend the whole early game just fighting like Lin Worms, that well, you can't really do it when this guy shows up unless you get very lucky. So I think he's well designed, honestly. I think he's a well designed monster for when he shows up. Okay, the Vanilla Dragoon is so he's a patrol. He's a side patrol that does very little damage, even if you don't cheese it, and only really as a cone. Honestly, it's an uninteresting monster, but because you can cheese it, and it's not a very interesting cheese. It's not like, it's not job dependent. It's not like depending on anything. It's just like if you know, you know, and if you don't know, you don't know. Like, I think it's kind of bad because of the cheese. If it wasn't for the cheese, maybe uninteresting. It's just not a very interesting monster. That's usually the first thing you fight on these floors, because it's by far the easiest. Also, it's a patrol, so it's like you want to get rid of it too. Like, there's no reason to delay fighting him like you would against a Thyrsus. I think it's a bad monster. Yeah, the first member of bad. He's just not very. He's just like just has nothing going on for him. Like, we just made fun of him all the time, you know. The Milodon. Milodon's interesting. Spoiler. Milodon's interesting because it's a not so hard hitting monster with like some cones. Which actually it's a cone, I think. I think it's a cone or a circle. It's a telegraph. Cone AoE, yes. It will very likely kill you if you get it, because it also puts a deep freeze on you, so like there's a lot of incentive to dodge it. Now, what is interesting about him, he has a tank buster, a range tank buster with a wind up, but it's like very long until he does it. It's like 20 seconds in fight or something until he does it. So like it's kind of cool because you kind of goes against the grain, right? Because usually monsters are gonna open with their tank buster maybe 5 seconds into their combat, and then they're gonna like just kind of keep doing it every 12 seconds. But like this one, he has like a long delay, then he does a tank buster. It's especially interesting if you're gonna do like an AoE pull with these guys, because then there's like a burst of damage coming, but it's coming later, and then it's also from a distance. And then the cone being a one shot. Like, it's not inherently interesting if it's a one-shot, but it's interesting because most clones are not one-shots in PotD, right? It's like kind of a unique one there. It also makes sense. Like, it's a freeze. Like, it freezes you, and he's an ice guy. Honestly, I'm tempted to... I thought maybe decent, but I'm tempted to put him in well-designed. He also cannot be stunned, I think. Yeah, he cannot... No, he can be stunned, but he can't be slept. Can't be slowed either. Maybe decent. Maybe decent. It's like a high decent, right? I'm not ranking the monsters on the tiers themselves, by the way. Like, it's not because Shepti's there that Shepti is more interesting than this guy. But he's like kind of... This guy's kind of between the two. I'll put him in decent for now. We'll see later. Alright, this is the Archaeosaur, I think. It's a... This guy is weird. Like, this guy is weird. He's basically like the Croc, but like he shows up later on, so he's not really interesting. Like, he's basically the Croc, just not interesting. Even the damage is even very close. Yeah, they almost do the same damage. I think the Archaeosaur hurts a little bit more, but like that. He's in a bad time because like he shows up right after the Wyvern and the Croc, so it's like at this point you've already seen it. It's just like this guy just feels like a reskinned Croc, like a reskinned Croc with a bit more damage, which, like, you know, just because of that fact, it's definitely not it's definitely on the same level, right? It's kind of like, I mean, I don't think it's as boring as the Sarko, the Lindworm, the Taurus, the Gremlin, but it's like definitely average, you know? Big average energy. The Diplo. This guy shows up in a lot of the deep dungeons. So the Diplo in PotD, let me remember. Does a stone skin, basically immunity buff, and then he does like a cone gaze quite often. Cone gaze is not indicated if it's like a circle or not, you just have to know. It's a little minus for me. Like Diplo's proximity, so you have to deal with him, but he's not like a very interesting monster because it's not like he's not threatening, doesn't do damage, he doesn't do tank busters. He has so many, actually he does even less damage than most other monsters because he has so many casts. He has like the invuln cast, and then he has like the gaze that he does quite often. The invuln cast is, I mean, you're gonna stun him. You're gonna stun him or sleep him to prevent it. So like there's a little bit of optimization, but it's not that crazy. Like you rarely, usually when you fight the Diplo, it's because it's in the way. Like 90% of the time you fight the Diplo because it's in the way, or like it's the last thing that you want to find on the floor that's not like that bad. I don't know. I don't feel like it's a very interesting monster. Like the Diplos are constantly the most annoying thing to fight in the deep dungeons. It is annoying. I was tempted to put him in bad. He is annoying to fight because he's just, I don't know. Like I never really get excited when I fight on Diplo. I know it's gonna be a fight I win for sure. There's no danger. Like it's only a bit fun if I'm playing something with sleep, because then it's like I have to time the sleep with the cast, because then if you start the sleep when the cast is starting, it's too late already. Like you gotta plan for it a little bit. Maybe just because of that, I'm willing to bump in uninteresting instead of bad, but it's a close one. Alright, this looks like an Enzu, but it's not an Enzu. This is the Peronadon, I think. Bird Patrol. Proximity Bird Patrol. Towards the end of the set, he's not that dangerous. Doesn't do much damage, but his circle AoE actually has a pretty fast cast compared to the other monsters, so it's you gotta be like a little bit more ready for it. His proximity, so you don't have to fight him a lot. But like now it's like this is the part of the set where there's a shit ton of proximity monsters, so I feel like at this point, it's not really good design that it's also a proximity patrol. Like this would make a lot more sense if this was a side patrol, because every monster is almost proximity on this at this point, right? So then if he was side, then you could like avoid him and pull proximity things in the meantime. But like because it's proximity, you like if he goes in your direction, you kind of have to fight him, and it's not a particularly interesting fight. He has the fast AoE, which is like a bit more interesting, but I don't know. Like it is still uninteresting, I think. Mostly because of the fact that he's proximity, and then he's like proximity when everything else is proximity as well. We're gonna be there for a while. Alright, let's not look down. Triceratops. Triceratops is really dangerous. Actually, this one has potential for a one-shot with like a good chunky crit on you. If you're like playing something squishy, you can definitely get to the one-shot range. He's like the Wyvern, but worse. But worse as in like the damage. He's Wyvern, but with more damage. He shows up towards the end of the set. I think... So he's proximity, so like that's bad because that's also when everything's proximity. But I don't really blame the Triceratops in that case. I blame the patrol. Like the patrol is the one that should be side. I don't think the Triceratops should be side. I think the Triceratops would be worse if it was side, because then you could easily avoid him, right? I feel like it's the patrol's responsibility to be side on this part of the set. Honestly, I think the Triceratops is a good like boss, like quote unquote boss to this set. It hits hard. Proximity, like there's almost no way you're gonna be able to avoid that guy. And then, you know, because there's so many proximity things on this set, you're going to have to fight him in kind of bad spots. Like you can't always take a good fight against the Triceratops. You can sleep him, you can stun him, etc. I think it's a pretty well designed monster. Like I like fighting these guys. They're in like he's in a good part of the set too. It's like the logical follow up to the Wyver, you know. It's kind of like the Wyver plus, and I think the Wyver is well designed. So, so that's it for this set. Does that still make sense to me? I thought the Tofu was well designed, the Devilet. Do I think the Wyvern and the Triceratops are well designed too? Yes. Archdemon? Yeah. Do I think the worst thing we ran so far is the Venom Ragoon? Yeah. Diplo is definitely like... I feel like Diplo deserves to hang down in the bad tier. Sorry, Diplo enjoyers. I look at him and I'm like, he's worse than these guys. Like he's less fun than these guys. Honestly, I think the Mind Flare is also deserves to be down. Yeah, that looks good to me. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Diplo's like a time waster. It's not particularly interesting. It's proximity, so you have to fight him a bunch. Only real optimization you can do with him is sleep. Like, you know, pre-sleep before he starts doing the cast bar. Don't think it really saves him, honestly, from the bad tier. Okay, 171. There's a lot of monsters that do a lot of things there. Cyclops. So 171 is special. Because it's the first 3 floors are basically the landmine floors, almost no matter what kind of run you're doing. So then we have to look at the monsters on the early floors with the consideration that there's gonna be landmines involved. I'm not saying you're not gonna do landmines on other sets. Like you definitely gonna do you can definitely do a landmine when the Wyvers are there, but like these guys almost always gonna be involved in your landmine, so we kind of have to like think of it that way. Cyclops is a patrol that's side and very big. His abilities are not like that interesting if you fight him 1v1. It's a gaze attack. Oh, sorry, not gaze. A line AoE followed by a point blank, and you can stun him. You can maybe even sleep him. I don't remember that. Let me just see. Cyclops. You can actually sleep him, yes. You cannot bind him though. But like, you know, there's some counterplay. Then, you know, because he's gonna do the point blank, if you don't have any counterplay for it, you have to make sure you have space to like run away. But like most of the time, I think he's fairly interesting because he's there at the landmines, like from the very first floor. So like if you're gonna do landmines, he makes it so you don't have like you don't always have a straight sprint to like the objective, right? You can't just start the 171 and every time you do it, pull like 5 bears and then just run all the way to the landmine with, you know, uninterrupted. Usually there's gonna be a Cyclops or 2 that are in the way, and they're bait. They're side, but they're bait, right? So it's like, because they're bait, they are to avoid, but because they're side, then it's not unavoidable. Like if he was proximity, it would be a lot less interesting, but because he's a bait side monster, then it's like you can approach from weird angles. It's gonna be a little bit tougher than like, you know, a smaller side patrol. I think it's a fairly decent monster. Even maybe a well-designed monster, but I'll keep him in decent for now. I think that's fair. Bandersnatch is basically like the Croc. It's like the version of the Croc before this set. So like it's basically like the Archaeosaur, but a little bit more damage. He kind of feels the same role of like just being the, I don't know, let's say like the damage check of this set. He's like the damage check of this set almost. He's on the landmine floor. Like this guy basically, how many of those is on you is gonna make it. It's gonna dictate if your landmine goes well, and if your witch chain goes well, I should say, and if you're on a witch chain at all. I mean, fighting him 1v1 is... It happens sometimes. You do a landmine and you don't get out, or like maybe you just fail the landmines and you don't have your size or something. Like you do fight that guy sometimes. But then, because you're likely to have a steal for the landmines, you don't fight that guy with a steal that often. But like, it's not a bad monster. Maybe it's just average. He's kind of like the Archaeosaur, and technically he's at the beginning, so it's like it's a little better design because it's gonna tell you the damage, but it's just these. I don't know. I feel like he's kind of average. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of average, honestly. I don't really have a good reason why. I just look at him and I'm like, he's kind of like the Archaeosaur. Alright, the bear. The bear just attacked and has a cone. I mean, it's basically the fodder for the landmine along the Dawntrail. But like, but it doesn't really mean he's like, it's not because he's the fodder for the landmine that he's interesting. Like, it only does a cone. So I feel like uninteresting has become like this guy just does a cone. Well, like, honestly, it's possible that everything below average kind of deserves to get knocked down one. And like, maybe these are actually awful, you know, if we're talking design. But I keep it uninteresting for now. So Dawntrail is a bear, but more interesting because he has the same crown mechanic. However, after being in combat for a little bit with you, he puts a double damage buff on himself. And then what I like about his rotation is that after he does the buff, he doesn't actually start attacking you right away. He usually is going to do another crown, so it gives you a little bit of time to like think of what you're going to do, if you're going to stun or whatever. But like, while doing all of that, he's also the fodder for the landmine. But then if you keep him in combat for a while, then he becomes like dangerous for the landmine, right? So he fills like a lot of roles, you know. It's like good fodder, but also he can be dangerous. He has like saw mechanics. You can even stun the whistle or probably sleep as well. Don't remember if you can interrupt, maybe. I don't know. I think it's a pretty good monster, honestly. Like, I think it's a good monster, man. Like, it's the kind of monster that doesn't need much, but like he's at the perfect time of the set. His proximity too. I don't know. Is it bad at his proximity? I feel like it doesn't really matter if he's side or proximity. It's like, if he was side, you'd still pull him because he's like the easiest thing down there. So it doesn't really make a difference in that case. And then you're at the very first set, so it's not like you're in a time crunch that much either. Yeah. I'd say he's well designed for me. Alright, the wolf. We're into the big boys now, so get ready. That's the big boys. So the wolf, the PotD wolf, he's gonna put a very strong dot on you and also heal himself when he does it. Every like 15 to 20 seconds or so. Now there's a small optimization you can do with the dot where when he's about to apply it again, if you like put something that reduces damage taken, if his new application of the dot would do less damage than your current application, then it like skips the application. That's a small optimization. That's the kind of monster that if you are a job that can kite, you have to kite him. He's stunnable, sleepable, and bindable and everything. He's like a very hard hitter. Like very hard hitter compared to anything else you fought. Dot it's very hard. But he also shows up on the landmine floors. I think he shows up on the 3rd floor. So like it's possible you don't have to deal with the wolf on the landmines. And then if you are dealing with a wolf on the landmines, it's usually a witching. Like usually you have to witch in when you start pulling a wolf because you can't really tank the dot and the landmine unless you're like warrior, I guess. But you don't really want to be dealing with dots from the wolves as you're doing the landmines. But I don't know. Like, it's definitely not average. It's definitely not a masterpiece. But it's pretty cool that it's like the first monster that can actually fuck you without a steal really hard. If you're not ready for it. Like, I'd say most of the things we've ranked so far, if you fight him without a steal, and it like, you know, if you accidentally pull them and you don't have a steal, you can usually sort of like make it work. The wolf is not one of those. Like, if you pull that guy and you're not ready, you don't have a steal, and you're playing like a melee or something, you can't like... It's a something must be used situation almost. I'm trying to find reasons. I just keep saying good things about him. I'm trying to find reasons why I don't like, because I look at it and I'm like, I don't feel like he's well designed. I think the reason why he's not well designed is because the Evan Wolf spoiled me a bit. Like, there's a cheese you can do against the Evan Wolf, but I think it's a good cheese. Like, I think it's actually a fun cheese. And then you don't really have this optimization to do in PotD. Like, if you pull the wolf, you just kind of like have to deal with it. Or you need room to kite. I think it's decent. I think it's decent. All right, this is the what do you call there? The Wiesent. So this guy is a very fat patrol site. That's like one of the he's on the, like, the floors. He basically starts appearing when the floors starts getting tricky. So that's the point where there's gonna be like pretty bad things to fight. Himself, he does like respectable damage. He has a 30-second enrage, and the enrage is like two-part. It's like it's a pull-in move followed by hits really hard AoE. You can sleep. You cannot stun, if I remember correctly. Yeah, right. You can sleep, but you cannot stun. There's like... So this is the same as... It's like the same thing as I said as the wolf. There's like less things to do about his enrage in PotD, because you have to either burst him down, or you need sleep, or you need to be able to tank it. But in MI, there's like more ways to deal with that. He's a side patrol. He's pretty fat, so he's avoidable. But then he's on the floors where monsters start being really bad. So like typically when you see the Wiesent, you're happy that he's there. Like, you want to pull him right away, right? So the fact that he's a patrol is not really that interesting. And then the fact that he's side, I guess, is a little better than if he was proximity, because then proximity, well, it wouldn't really matter, because you'd fight him either way, right? I don't know. I'm not really getting excited about this guy. There's definitely some counterplay. But it's kind of average. I feel like. I really feel like I have to bump down everything by one. Like maybe this. That actually makes a lot more sense to me. I think we actually had our first awfuls this whole time. This makes a lot more sense to me. Yeah, okay. I think that's fair. Okay, so we're gonna be like that for now. So yeah, Wiesent average. I mean, that sounds right to me. It's about the same as these guys. So the Lion. Lion is a hard hitter. Not that crazy, but like he does hit pretty hard. If you don't have room to charge, it gets tricky. He's like in a good spot, because he's right when the things start getting tricky, but then he's not that bad, but he's like not that good either, right? He's like kind of like between a monkey and a Wiesent, let's say. So like there's times where you want to not pull him, there's times when you want to pull him. There's a decision to make. And also you can make another decision when you fight him. You can either stun for uptime or stun after the thing for damage prevention, right? So there's some decision making. Also, he sounds very crunchy when you attack him, and that's like a plus. I don't know why he sounds that crunchy, but he really does like crunch crunch sounds every time you attack him. Don't know why it's like that. Like he's kind of a good partner to the monkey, because he's like an easier thing to fight. He still has a 10 buster and everything, but he's like easier, especially because he has a long cast. But then if you don't have room to kite, then there's like a monkey doing like the Vuln thing, then it's, then it gets somehow like suddenly way trickier. I think it's... I don't like, I look at the wolf. Maybe the wolf is the one that I should bump up. I definitely feel like these two are kind of close, like the Albia and the Lion. Like Shetty. The Wolf is like the Intruder, man. But I think he's like close. I think he's still kind of like decent. Maybe he's like decent plus, but kind of like that. All right, Monty, the long-awaited Monty. So Monty's proximity, very hard hitter. Definitely has the potential to one-shot you. Also, he doesn't cast anything. He's basically the Triceratops, but like really bad. Like really, really hurts a lot. So like the Monkey also had this out ability. It has this out of combat ability where he's like chest stomps, and it puts a stacking Vol on you. It's not a very powerful Vol. It's like maybe 10% per stack, but it stacks up, and it has like a semi-short duration. So like you have to play around it. You can't just like tank something by the Monkey and tank everything depending on the job. You have to plan around it. And he's very big and proximity. So I like this combination. He's big, proximity, and dangerous, right? And he's like he's on floors where there's like bad things and okay things. Like it's not always bad monsters when he appears, but he's like the big threat because he's the proximity guy. And the only other thing that's proximity at this point is a bird. That is like tricky to fight, but not as bad, right? He's like in a very... He appears at a very good time, I think. Like he's in a really good time. Middle of the set or like until the end. He's like usually one of the worst monsters and you have to fight him. But then because there's other things and not all of them are proximity, you kind of play around like making space in the rooms or like trying to find good rooms to tie that guy. Also he's stunnable, sleepable, slowable. So like there's a lot of CC opportunities. It's a very good monster. Like the design wise. Also, the fact that the PotD layouts are very big and open means that you can actually prepare for the Monkey. Like, it's not like you're gonna turn a corner and then suddenly, you know, there's a chest stomp happening and you just get like a stack for free. You can actually plan for it. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's a masterpiece in design. Like, I think of the Monkey and I don't really see any flaws in the way it's designed. Like, is it a flaw? It's proximity. I don't think it is, man. Because if he was sight. If he was... Imagine the set, but and there's no difference except the Monkey is sight. That'd be like a lot less interesting, I think. Because then you'd get to 175 and just kind of like fight everything else. Like you get to 175 and then you'd fight basically every single patrol and every single curl. Which is what you already do, but then now you wouldn't have to think of like the Monkey that much, right? Can't wait for Ross to see this. Hey, we're not ranking them by fun of fighting. We're ranking them by design. Maybe he would agree with me. Who knows? I think it's it's like a very well designed monster. It's a masterpiece. But what about the Enzu? The Enzu's tricky, man, because it's really badass, right? Like, it's a really badass monster. Is it a masterpiece? So what does the Enzu do? The Enzu is a sight monster, so you actually do decide if you're gonna fight it or not. It's a very bad fight. It needs steel on almost every job except tanks. Even with steel is dangerous for like a lot of jobs. Debuffs make it almost impossible for multiple jobs as well. Like, this guy's it's like a steel check almost, right? It's like... And it's rare that you have to fight an Enzu, but you have to fight an Enzu sometimes, right? It can happen. It's definitely not like I don't think it's a monster that swings on the bad side. I don't think it's a badly designed monster. It's like a good. It's a good like what would I call it? It's like you're meant to avoid him, right? I think that's fair. Like you're meant to avoid him. Like you're not meant to fight the Enzus. You're meant to avoid them. So like he's big and he's sight, so that you know you have all the tools you can to avoid him. You're not. He's never gonna sneak up on you, and you can actually see like where he's moving while you're fighting other things. But actually fighting him is. He puts a powerful dot on you. Well, powerful. He puts a dot on you, and then he has a very powerful tank buster that stuns you as well and puts a vol. Now, the thing I don't like about the tank buster is that it's not really... There's not much counterplay to do about it. Like, at most, you can try and hide behind a wall. Well, a hole when he does it, so then he gets stuck behind a hole. Because the thing is... If he tank busters you, he's very likely to do an auto attack at the same time. So you're gonna like you basically have to be able to survive auto attack plus 1.8 plus tank buster at the same time. Which is very hard with a steal. And with a steal, it still can take like 70% of your health, right? Like I'm trying to think. Let's say we're taking 171 and we're making no changes. Let's say we're making the Enzu fight. Let's say we take the Enzu and he's as he is, but we remove his tank buster. Like we remove the stun of his tank buster, right? Let's just say the stun is gone. So now suddenly, it's probably fightable. It's easily fightable on tanks without steal. It's also easily fightable on healers without steal. Melees and DPS probably still need steal. But would that be better? No? Would that be better than what it is right now? I don't think it would be better. I think the Enzu being like such a threat, it's like your last... It's like the last time the game's ever gonna teach you about the monsters that you don't want to pull, right? But I don't think it's a masterpiece. It's... Because I'm thinking of all these floors I've had to do where like sudden sorry, I'm losing my voice, man. I need a drink. But I'm thinking of all these floors where I had to fight Enzus, and it's like my last things to fight. And then it's like, all right, you know, it's like a steel tax that kind of feels bullshit. Or it's a witching tax, but then I don't know if the witching is gonna be enough to get me out. Like, okay, well, let me think of it this way. Can I think of a way to design the Enzu better? Like, compared to what it is right now. Like, if I look at the Enzu, is there something I think I could do to the Enzu and then it would improve the experience, you know? I definitely think it's necessary, because if the Enzu wasn't there, if he was gone and replaced with like a weak monster, then this would be a joke on the last set. Because, well, it wouldn't be a joke, but like basically the only threat would be the monkey and that's it. So he has to exist. If he was proximity, it would be worse, for sure, because he basically would just be paying steals non-stop. Now, another thing that... I'll put him in well-designed for now. He's like a high well-designed. I don't know if I want to really put him in masterpiece, though. I'll have to think about it a little more. Like, what I don't like about the Enzu, it's... Actually, I like his existence. I just don't like that if you fight it, it's kind of RNG if the stun like gets you. Like I don't like the stun. I don't like that he can attack you and stun at the same time. Like if they somehow made it so he can't attack and stun on the same tick, then I wouldn't feel like he's kind of... This is the only part of his design that I don't know if I like. Yeah. I'll keep him there for now. Maybe he's gonna move up. I don't think he's gonna move down though, but he's definitely like, you know, the top. He's like one of the top dogs. Bird of the Palace. Proximity Patrol. I think this is actually a really good monster as well, because he's a proximity patrol, but he's like he's on like the really stressful sets for this. He's on the really stressful floors of that set, so it's like it's good that there's even another thing that's stressing you out with the proximity patrol, and he's like an easy thing to fight, but not really if you have to face tank him and you're in a bad position. And then the monkey is changed. The monkey really makes this whole experience pull like together, man. If the monkey wasn't there, I feel like the rest of the monsters would not be like as cool. But because the monkey is there, and then the monkey, as you carry your position, and the patrol's proximity, it's like they've got this good synergy going on where you have to be really mindful of where you're fighting the bird, because the bird can easily kill you, like very easily kill you, especially when he gets his attack buff, right? His revelation is a one-shot because it's gonna CC you until you die, and his buff is like interesting. The only thing I don't like about his buff is it's kind of like there's some RNG element to like if he's gonna attack you. Whenever his buff is up, he's gonna spam the circle on you, but then sometimes he's gonna sneak another attack on you. And then if it just happens twice in a row and you're like playing a squishy job, then that really sucks, right? But I think it's a honestly pretty well designed monster. Like he works really well for when he appears. Yeah. The Curl, the last monster of that set. The Curl is like one of the monsters that appears in all that bullshit at the end with all the other really hard monsters. He's like the easy thing to kill of like the last few floors. He's a weird monster because he does a cone and then he does a paralyze on you that you cannot prevent in any way. You can make there's like some ways to make the paralyze shorter if you intentionally get hit by the cone and you can tank it. So like there's some optimization. Well, usually a curl, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull all of them at the same, like, you know, back to back to back to get some DR. What I don't like about the curl is that they made it so that his cone is disabled whenever you're paralyzed. I'm not sure why they made it like that, because the Art Demon does not have that. And I think it's bad design to do that. I don't know why it works like that. And you know, it's still all the same arguments that than the Thyrsus and the Art Demon, where like, yeah, you have some control. It's well, more like the Thyrsus. It's like the Thyrsus where you have some control over if you're gonna pull it or not, because and then you can pull multiple at the same time. But then he's not a patrol, so it's not like really the same. I feel like it's cooler to avoid a patrol, but like avoiding a monster in the room, it's not really a big deal. I don't know. Like he hurts. He's surprisingly like risky to fight, especially. It's the same as I was saying about the bird with like the monkey being around and everything, but like he doesn't have this. It doesn't have like the 10 buster wow, you know? Like wow, I'm gonna die to a 10 buster. It just kind of like attacks you. It's annoying, honestly, because you get paralyzed and you feel like you're getting double punished from the paralyzed, because now he's not gonna do the cone anymore, which is bad because you want him to do the cone so he doesn't attack you. So like you're getting double punished for the paralyzed, which you can't avoid. You know, I honestly, I really don't like that monster. Like, the more I think about it, it's like, yes, there's this small optimization to reduce the paralyze, and yes, you can get the DR kicked in, but the fact that you get double punished for something that's not even your fault. Like, if you could stun or interrupt the paralyze in some way, this guy would be like a lot. I would be a lot nicer to it, but because you can't really do anything about it, I think it's bad. I think it's a bad design. Like, he fills the role of the easy monster of like, he's like the lucky thing that spawns on these last floors, but like he's annoying. He's just annoying to fight. And yes, sometimes you get put in a bad spot and then, you know, he actually kills you due to the paralyze, but Like, you know, they could just have a monster that has a little bit of a tank buster but doesn't hit as hard, and like it'd be the same thing but without the annoyance of the paralyze, you know. So yeah, I think it's bad. Honestly, it's close to awful. I'm trying to keeping it bad for now, but okay. I mean, looking at this, I'm not very surprised by the result. Monkey, I kind of knew was gonna be high. It's a masterpiece. Anzu is close, dude. Like, Anzu is very close. Triceratops is also very close, honestly. We'll have to look at these again later. Hey, what's up, Mott? Yeah, we're doing a tier list. It's gonna be a long tier list, bro. Did I really say this was gonna be 2 hours? I'm insane, bro. It's like 4 hours, if not 5. I'm insane, dude. It's not 2 hours at all. All right. Anyway, yeah, it's like 2 hours per dungeon. All right, 181. Now this is a nightmare set if I've ever seen one. So that's the Wamura. Is this the Wamura Kampa or just the Kampa? I always mix them up. This is the Wamura. So this is a patrol that is sight, right? I always mix up that guy with proximity for some reason. So this is a sight patrol very early on in the 180s. So the thing with the 180s is the very early on, everything's very easy to fight. Not everything, but like usually there's going to be enough easy monsters to just kind of like get through the floors. That's like one of the monsters. He has like a sort of unique. He has a sort of a unique mechanic where he heals his allies in combat, but only if he's in combat and they're in combat. But like it's interesting on paper. When in practice, it doesn't really mean much because you're never gonna AoE pull up there unless you're doing some. Sorry, unless you were doing some kind of like really fat AoE pull on the warrior or something. But like most of the time, you're not gonna AoE pull. So like all his ability really does, it costs you a witching. It's like a witching tax almost if you accidentally pull him. He has a cone that's pretty big. He hits like a little bit, like but like at this point, it's kind of like you kind of have to kite everything. None of these monsters can be face tanked on most DPS, but still like they usually gonna need some kiting or a bloodbath or something, right? I don't think this is a particularly interesting monster. Like he's a side patrol where everything's easy to fight. So what happens? What happens is you fight this guy every time because he's side. But he has an annoying ability if you accidentally pull something, and everything's easy right now. So like you don't have to like delay fighting him because you have a steal or something. Usually it's a pull on side. I don't know. I think it's fairly uninteresting, honestly. Grenade, not much to say. Easy monster. Sight as an AoE, center on himself. Honestly, I think it's uninteresting as well. Why can't I move there? I don't think it's a very interesting monster. Sprite, however, this is a 100% caster. In fact, it's such a caster. If you silence him, true for the imp, by the way, as well. But if you silence him with a silence trap, he actually does not do any damage to you for 30 seconds. So that's a very niche optimization, but it's there. So this guy is like, his damage is like very tightly balanced because it's. If you fight this guy, no steal, no strength on like a lot of DPS, it's actually very tight. Like you kill it and you've got like 2 hits remaining, if even that. With your cooldowns using everything. It's like very tight fights. There's like the crit RNG keep you on your toes. And he's like consistent damage. He doesn't burst, right? It's like consistent damage as well. He's kind of like an EO monster, but like damage wise, like the damage is consistent like an EO monster, but like with crits, right? That's kind of how it feels fighting him. You can stun him, you can sleep, I think. Yeah, you can do everything on that guy. So slow, run away, bind, run away, stun, sleep. You can silence him even. A lot of optimization. And then it's a DPS, it's like a DPS raise, basically, that guy. You want to kill him before he kills you. Like, there won't be any tank buster coming, no abilities or nothing. And you can even do something like silence his cast. Like, it's very tight timing. Honestly, I think it's a really good monster. It's just a shame that he shows up where everything's easy. So like usually you're gonna avoid fighting a sprite until the very last thing you need to fight. And yeah, he's gonna need maybe like a pump if you're like in a, you know, really bad floor, really bad debuffs like a gloom or something. But I think it's a really well designed monster. I really like the sprite. There's a lot of counterplay. It's like it's always on your toes when you're fighting it. It's always gonna be close. Like sometimes you pull the sprite and you kind of, you know, instantly it's gonna be close because the damage is very consistent, right? So like you look at your health and you're like, wow, I'm gonna be at like 10% after this last one. Oh, I really like that monster. One more camp. So this is a proximity monster. Sorry, no, this is a sound monster. Hard hitting tank buster, which is from a distance. He's like the, he's kind of like the pot and the, what is it? The Mirodon, right? They're kind of like the same range tank buster, except this one really hurts. Easily can like one tap you with a crit and the tank buster. So like there's, this guy's kind of cool because if you chide him a lot, then he's like, if you chide him a lot, you're gonna make it so the tank buster is dissociated from like the melee attack. So then you're not gonna get one, like, you know, stacked by all the damage at the same time. So like there's a good incentive against the Womura compa to kind of like count in your head, and then when the tank busters come in, right, you just try and gain some distance on the melee, so you make sure you don't get the two hits at the same time. Now that he has the same issue as like the sprite, where he appears on the floors where most things are easy to fight. So like usually you can avoid fighting him. It's even easier for this one because he's sound. But honestly, I feel like that's a monster that might benefit from being proximity. I feel like if it was proximity, I would maybe like it a little bit more. Because then it would be like the, it would be like the kind of tricky thing to fight on these sets, on these early floors. But he's like a pretty good monster, honestly. He's like, the fights are very close with him. Like it's the kind of fight that you can take no steal, but you kind of want to have a raising for it. At least for me, that's how I feel about him. He's definitely above average. I think he's well designed as well. Well designed is kind of stacked, honestly, man. I think he's well designed. Like I think, you know, definitely Dawntrail, Wyver, like I don't know, on the same level. I think it's an enjoyable design. If you had a tank buster in melee, if it was just a melee tank buster like the Wyver, I feel like at this point they've shown you enough tank buster. Like he would do too much damage if he was just all in melee. The fact that it's a range attack is almost beneficial. Like it's nice because you can play around it more, is how I feel like anyway. Oh man, the Garm next. The Garm. The good old Garm, the classic. So the Garm has basically 4 moves he does in the random order. And he can never repeat the same one twice. He does Ram's Voice, point blank, Dragon's Voice, donut, and then the Ram's Bread, Dragon's Bread, which is like a left cone or a right cone. And so it's an interesting monster. He's a proximity patrol that is very big, and he spawns on every single floor. He can spawn on any floor, so you're never out of the like the Garm range, right? So that's nice because he's like, there's situations where it's like the easiest thing, but there's also situations where it's like the most annoying thing, right? Like it's not always the same. He's not always the same value because he has such a wide range of floors to spawn on. So I said he has 4 random things he does. I should say 5 because like one of them is actually just not casting and attacking you, which actually hurts a lot. So like it's not like a pure spellcaster where you just kind of like do the mechanic and you survive. Like there's also the auto attack scare. And because he spawns on every floor, he's very likely to get combined with worms at some point. And like the worm Garm combo it's like just enough to kill you from like full HP. So like that's something you gotta also watch out for. The fact that his proximity, also his tank here, he has more HP on average than the other monsters. But his proximity, I think that's actually a bad combo. Because if he was sight, and add more HP, then you could actually avoid him, or sound, right? You could actually like justify avoiding him just so you don't waste time fighting him. But because he has more HP than the average monster and his proximity, you kind of have to fight him. Like it's like getting punished, and it's not your fault. Like what I was talking about earlier. So you know, I think being proximity works. It's like the HP that I don't really like on the Gorm. I wish it just had the regular HP of everything else, because it just feels like you're getting punished. Like it feels like you're getting punished because the RNG just gives you 5 Gorm on the floor rather than you choosing to fight it. Because he's so big that you can't even escape him. Like if you're in a room and you're hiding the wall and he's like going a straight line, you're not even gonna be able to avoid him. Yeah, it's because the aggro range originates from the edge of the hitbox, not the middle, and it's 10 yalms. So it starts counting 10 yalms from the edge of his circle rather than the middle. Like, I don't know. It's definitely like... It's a fun monster, but because of the whole HP thing and like... The HP plus proximity thing and the size, right? It's like... I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't even think it's a high well design. Like the HP thing kind of really brings it down for me. Low well design maybe. You missed the mob tier list, and you didn't miss it, bro. You look at what we got to rank still. You're there at the beginning of it. Alright, the worm. The worm is like the Gorm. You can spawn on all 10 floors. The worm, bro, is insane. The worm is insane, man. It's a high damage tank buster, including a range tank buster monster. Does he have 2 tank busters? I don't even remember. No, only 1. It sure feels like he has 2 because he's spamming that shit. But so he's very dangerous to fight. He can be everything but slept. Out of combat, he does a move, a sand pillar move that does like a fair amount of damage to you, which is very dangerous when you're fighting other monsters, because at this point monsters start like taking, you know, easily 40% of your health every attack. Well, depending on the job, right? But and if you do fight him, and he's dangerous, right? So it's a fight that can require steal often. But if you fight him, there's a 30-second enrage, and you have to decide how you're gonna deal with the enrage, because there's multiple ways to deal with the enrage. Is it's a 2-part thing. First part is a drawing effect, which I believe you cannot knockback immunity. So it's a really big untelegraphed drawing effect, followed by a very big but smaller point blank AoE. Point blank AoE can be survived, though it can crit, I believe, but it can be survived on some jobs, especially like if you have a steal. So that's one way to counterplay it, is just like make sure you're top tough and you have defensives and tank it. You can also deal with it by doing some kind of dash, because like there's just enough time between the suck-in and the thing happening for you to dash. For example, a red mage backdash. You can slow him and then run away, like so that then he does the drawn effect, but you're too far. You can like use a donut room or something to put distance between you two. You can stun right after the drawing effect, and then he's going to like enrage after the stun, and it's not gonna miss you. There's like so many ways to deal with it. And he's a very dangerous fight. It's gonna require kiting and out of combat. He's a threat. Like this is really good design, because he's dangerous out of combat, as he does like the sand pillar, but he's also dangerous in combat, because then he's strong, right? So because if he was easy to fight out of battle, if he was easy to fight, then you just pull him instantly every floor, because then you don't want to deal with his ability, right? But because he's dangerous to fight and annoying, it's like you gotta choose which one you're doing. And there's actually like a lot of counterplay to him when you're fighting him. He hurts a lot, but there's counterplay, especially when it comes to enrage. It's a masterpiece. I think it's even a bigger masterpiece than the monkey. Like we're not ranking within the tiers, but I think so far that's my favorite monster. Yeah, most people are gonna need a steal for the worm. It's a fight that I'm willing to take 5 a raising up. If it's like kind of desperate, it's a fight I'm willing to take with a raising up. Especially if it's like a range GPS and I can bind him or something, slow him. But usually if I have a steal to spare, I'm gonna do it. Though I don't really mind having to steal on this set, because on this set, like, you kind of need steal for all of the monsters later on. So like, when you steal on that set, usually it becomes a puzzle of like, how can I use that steal as optimally as possible? So if I steal for the worm, well, maybe I'm gonna fly the next floor, and then, you know, maybe I'm gonna use the last minute of my steal after that to do a double dip rage. So I don't mind it as much. I mind the steal more on the last set, on the set before that, because then if I steal on like the one, like if I steal on 176 against a monkey, then it's not that likely that the steal is useful on the 177th floor. But on this set, it's likely that if I steal, it's gonna be useful on the next few floors. Anyway, it's a masterpiece. Worm's a masterpiece. Who would have thought? Crawler. Like, Crawler is weird. Crawler is interesting, technically, because it has like 2 different abilities. It has a poison, and it has a slow, like GCD slow. He does a shit ton of damage due to the poison, and he's sound, but like, he's like the... He's basically a thing you're not meant to fight, and you rarely have to fight a crawler because it's like the most bad thing to fight usually on the floors. So you're rarely gonna fight him, plus he's sound so you can easily avoid him. I mean, being sound is cool because then, you know, you get to actually use your walking, your RP walk, and just kind of avoid the things, you know. So that's kind of cool. I don't know, like I feel like I can't rank that guy as your like, I feel like you're meant to avoid him. Like, it's almost a monster you're meant to avoid, and now it's because he's sound, it's actually like, you know, not that hard to avoid him. Like, it's not like an Enzu where if there's like an Enzu looking left and Enzu looking right, you kind of like to take a risk and fight them or wait. But like the crawler, you never have to wait. You know, you can always walk around them. I mean, it's surely decent. Like, I hate fighting a crawler because there's not really much counterplay to just getting poisoned and getting hit for all your health and also getting GCD slowed. But like, you're kind of not meant to fight him, right? It's kind of like, that's the way I see it. If you're fighting him, you already lost you already made a mistake. Because even if you can fight him, it's slow. That's the thing. Like, even if you're a warrior and you fight him, that's still slow. Like, it's just a monster you never want to fight if possible. But because it's sound and because he's on the early-ish floors, right? It's like middle early. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's like right before things get really nasty. So it's like he's meant to be the guy you want to avoid, right? Missions with Gauge fights him really well. Do you not get slowed or poisoned from a distance? I thought it was a range attack. Very pull crawler than Spry on Machinist. I mean, Spry with Strain is easy, right? Without Strain or debuffs, maybe. Oh, it doesn't affect the hypercharge. True. Well, that's a small optimization for it. I don't think it really makes it a well-designed fight, since it's a very light job specific thing. Now, I guess that would affect... No, Reaper doesn't have its Shroud, right? I guess it only affects Machinist and that's it for the slow thing. Can't remember another job. Oh man, the Vinter, Berter. Which one? Which one is this? The Vinter. This guy is out of his league, man. This is like a floor 146 monster that accidentally found its way to like the 180s. Like, I don't even understand why this guy exists. And it's funny because his proximity, but there's almost no universe where you're not gonna pull that guy the moment you see him, right? Like, he's out of, like, I don't know, man. This guy is like, he should really lift. Like, if that guy did good damage, At least it would be interesting, but this guy does both no damage and no interesting abilities. Yeah, I mean, we love him because he's easy, but doesn't make for a very interesting design, you know? I love him too. I love saying Vinters. You know, when I'm in my runs and I see like 5 Vinters, I like it. But then, you know, deep down, I know that it's probably not a good thing. Like, because he doesn't really have a purpose. Like, he appears on like 4, 5, 6. I guess his purpose has been an easy fight, but then if his purpose has been an easy fight, then why is he a patrol? That's proximity. Like, if he was meant to be an easy fight, then make him a monster that's sight in the rooms, and then make, like, I don't know, like, make the crawler like the patrol. Like, that would make a lot more sense. If the crawler was a patrol and it's still sound, but then the Vinter is like a sight, and then now you're gonna hunt the Vinters on the floors and avoid the... Like, it would make a lot more sense, but it doesn't make sense to have a non-threatening patrol. A non-threatening patrol, I mean, there's definitely probably, like, I didn't really look, but there's gonna be a pattern you're gonna see where if a patrol is non-threatening, it's probably always gonna rank low. Because, like, what's the point of a non-threatening patrol? It's like wasting the monster slot, right? That's the way I see it. Okay, next, that's the... Was it the Archaeosaur? Wasn't there another Archaeosaur last set? Maybe they have the same name. Don't remember. So this is basically the equivalent of well, the Bender Snatch, the Croc, right? It's like the Croc of this set. He appears whenever things starts getting really bad. He's like he has an interesting role. He's like the last string of hope that you have to do a floor with using no bombs, but he's like bad. Like, it depends on the job, of course. Like, if you can bind him, it's not so bad. If you have room to hide, but then you're at the floors where room to hide is not a guarantee anymore, too. Like, he's in a really good spot for what he does. He's not like that interesting, but he's a double auto attacker with high damage that also has telegraphs that give you like some kind of rest, you know? And you can CC him with everything if I'm not wrong. You cannot bind him, that's the only thing. Like, that's funny because when I see this guy in my runs, I'm always like, I don't want to fight this guy, no steal. I don't want to fight this guy, no steal. But then it's like, if it comes to it, I do it, you know? It's like, it's worth the risk. I think it's pretty well designed, honestly. It's like, it fits its role well. If that monster was like on floor 181, I would rank it much lower. But it's like, it's in the right spot. It's like where the monsters get really bad, but then he's like the last string of hope. Like, he's usually the less bad thing to fight, but like, you need room to fight. But then you don't have room to fight because everything's bad to fight, you know? Fairly interesting. Also, at this point, if you have to steal to fight him, it's like, you know, if you have to pay the steal tax, well, you can use a steal for a lot of other things, you know? It doesn't feel like you're wasting the steal just for him. Pretty sure that's the claw. Yeah, the picture's bad, but that's the claw. What the fuck is the next thing? Oh, a flawed dragon. Anyway, the claw. So, see, the claw is interesting on paper. The claw is interesting. He's a hard-hitting tank buster with a drawing effect, which has a tank buster follow-up, but he doesn't do the tank buster. Like, there's a delay before the tank buster, so you can usually... It's not like an Enzo where you just get one tap. It's like usually there's some time to do something between the damage. And then he does a tail screw slow. It's basically like Void Blizzard. You can do the same as you would do about Void Blizzard against it. It's a tricky one. He's on the later floors, like everything sucks. I mean, he's one of the monsters that sucks too. Like, it's tricky. I feel like he has an interesting toolkit. He's basically like the Implet, but his damage is really high. That's I feel like the damage being very high is actually less interesting on this guy because the damage is so high. Usually, if you fight a claw, you're gonna steal, and then the fight becomes easy because you steal. Because like you getting drawn in non-stop, it's way too much damage to deal with. Yeah, you gotta pray for a donut, or you gotta like turn a corner sharply and avoid the drawing. But then if you do that, then you gotta do that again. And then you also have to avoid the tail screw, which you can stun, I think, but still. I mean, it's definitely average at the very least. I don't think it's an uninteresting monster. I think it's an interesting monster. It's just like... It's almost like... I wish it was one set earlier that you saw this guy, and then he did like a bit less damage, right? Just so you could push him in the no steal is not cope territory. I feel like he hurts too much what he does, which makes it less interesting. I don't know. I feel weirdly about the clown. I'm really not sure where to put it. I guess that's why I put him in average. The Flood Dragon. Oh man. The Flood Dragon. Is it a masterpiece or is it awful? The Flood Dragon is an extremely hard-hitting dot monster that has also a telegraph. The thing though is the dot is so strong that you're very likely to die to the dot even if you kill the Flood Dragon really fast. And the dot, he does it right away when you pull him. Sometimes he delays it by a bit, but most of the time he's gonna do it right away when you pull him. Like... Inherently, I think it's a fairly interesting monster because of the dot. But the dot does so much damage that I can't really... I don't feel like it's a good design. Like it's... And okay, so like hear me out. Yes, it's the monster you're meant to avoid. He's obviously meant to be avoided. However, he's really big. And he's sight. Being sight and really big, that's fine. Like if it was just those things, that's fine. You can avoid them. But then you often have to fight the Flood Dragons because they love getting stuck, man. Like they love getting stuck in like geometry or something. And they have this weird behavior where they sometimes take like a minute to move. Even though nothing else moves in the room, they just take a minute before they move. I have no clue if it's intentional or not. And then if you do fight the Flood Dragon, usually it's going to require a steal and a lot of defensives. Except on a tank where like there's hope. On a healer, I think you can fight him without a steal if you're like really fast on your Isuna, which you don't have to cast it anymore, so maybe. Like see, Flood Dragon is a threat. It's like definitely kind of iconic, but I can't really rank him high because the fact that he gets stuck and you have to fight him and it costs you palms, and there's like no counterplay to it. Like if he gets stuck, you can at most do a witching and hope it works and he moves, but like that's really orangey, right? Most of the time you end up raging. You know, like if you have a floor with bad Flood Dragons, you can rage it. Which I think it's fair to have a monster that's so bad you have to rage it, but then it doesn't feel good if you have to rage because there's like 2 Flood Dragons that don't want to move, right? Oops. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's below average. Just because of that not moving thing, I think that's very bad design. Like, bug fix, it's like bug fix worthy. It's actually that annoying. It makes me not like the Flood Dragon at all. If he didn't have this whole weird issue about not moving, like if he existed as he is, but without the not moving like bug, decent or well designed, I think. I don't think it's a masterpiece. Damage too high. Also you can't stun him. Like you cannot stun or sleep him if I'm not wrong, right? Yeah, correct. You cannot stun or sleep, so like that that cuts the counterplay a lot for like so many jobs, right? Honestly, I think it's awful. Like the not moving bug is, it's really bad. Like I've had like a few good moments against the flood. I've had like a few times where I fight a flood dragon and it's like really epic, but most of the time I'm just kind of angry because I was looking at the flood dragon for like 2 minutes and he never moved, and then I go and he moves. Or he never moves and I waste like 3 minutes looking at them, and then I witch chain, and then they move after the witch chain, but like they move in bad spots, so then I still can't go, right? I don't think I think it's awful. If they fix the bug, sure. Decent or well designed, but and then they won't fix the bug. It's never gonna happen. Alright. Next set. Last set for PotD. Only took 2 hours to rank 1 deep dungeon. Maybe we won't be doing all 3 deep dungeons. Maybe we do Evelyn. Then we're good. We'll see how long Evelyn takes after that. Maybe it's gonna be a two-part thing. Okay, last set. So last set. Last set's fairly interesting in my opinion. So the patrol. So I really like the dynamic of the first few floors, because there's like some undead, but not all undeads. Patrol is like how it goes usually is on the first floor, first like 2 or 3 floors. You don't need steel, but you need it for the patrol. On most jobs, the patrol happens to be a proximity monster that doesn't have a ridiculously baited box like the Dom, right? So it's avoidable. Like you can avoid the course, but then if you have too many, you need to pay a tax, right? You need to pay like a reso tax or a steel tax or something. So I feel like it keeps the early floors fresh. And this monster is interesting to fight. It's like an Enzu that doesn't stun you whenever he jumps on you, right? Well, exactly what I was describing earlier. It's like an Enzu that doesn't stun you. And like there's ways you do just enough DPS on a lot of DPS jobs to like if you have a way to survive the first jump, you can sometimes kill it like around the second jump. Like it's very close to the second jump. Or you can do something like you can LOS the first pull, because it's easier to LOS the first jump, and then you can time the second jump with a shield or something. Like there's some counterplay. But what I really like about this guy is like whenever I zone into the first floor, I look around and I'm like, okay, there's 3 patrols, it's my rezo, right? And I'm trying to find a good time to rezo. I think it's a masterpiece, dude. I think it's actually like a really good monster for winning it. It's like, because imagine the early game of the 190 without this guy. I know this is controversial. I know you guys want to put in bad, all right? I know. But like, listen to me, okay? Like, if the early floors did not have this guy, it would be so incredibly boring. You'd have like nothing going on, man. Like, you just fight courses and traps and avoid all the hippos because they're sight. Yeah, because they're sight. That's it. That's all you do early game for like the first 4 floors. The only reason the first floors are like interesting is because this guy's there. He's basically gonna make it so you might have reso, might have steel, might have to use stains, right? And then if you have to steal, then maybe you're gonna fly, because there's not really any particular floor that's better to fly. I really like this guy. The only downside is you can't stun him or sleep him, but I feel like I forgive them more about this if it's like the last set. Oh no, wait, you can stun him. You can stun him. I'm dumb. You can't sleep him though. Right. You can't. Of course, you can stun him because the rezo stuns him. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. If he could not be stunned, then it'd be a lot less interesting. But if he couldn't be stunned, probably decent. Because then if he couldn't be stunned, then the whole rezo thing wouldn't work against him. And now your choices for the first floor would be basically steal or lose, you know? Like there were many of them. Anyway, yeah, I really like that guy. Masterpiece. Mummy. Mummy's like, it's good because of its synergy with the course. Because since it's an undead as well, And it's like the ghost can technically be there, but the ghost is more rare. Like it's a every floor monster, so he's not like as common on every single floor. But the mummy is pretty common. So like usually it's like the fodder that you're gonna be killing with a course, with the courses if you do a rezo. Fighting him is like, it's tough if you don't have room to like navigate. So like there's a lot of course patrolling. It can be rough to fight the mummies. It's definitely not a thing you can face tank on most jobs. His cone is actually a stun, so it's just you die. He does like pretty good damage, but then he has the cone that gives you some rest, and then you can stun him. I think he's a really good monster because of his synergy and the fact he's an undead, and the fact that fighting him is actually like pretty tight. Now the trap. The trap is definitely a mistake in design. Like I don't think it was designed the way that it's not intended the way we like deal with it. Basically, it has a double auto attack. It has a melee attack on a timer, and then it has a range attack on a timer. But the range attack is a very long timer. So like if you do in melee and you fight that guy, then you just get hit really hard, and then there's gonna be a range attack there and there. But then if you fight that guy from a distance, then there's like way less damage happening. Because I guess they didn't account for the fact that you could not be tanking in melee against it. So that's interesting because you can basically, it's like a resource. You can trade time for a slow kill, but a safe kill. The trap is also proximity, which is nice. It's nice that it's a proximity range monster, because then it's like, you know, like if I'm trying to avoid something and I walk in by a crawler, there's almost no universe where I would start running around. Like there's no universe where I would actually start running and pull the crawler, except if I was gonna die to a telegraph. But then the trap, like sometimes you're fighting something, or like you're trying to avoid the trap, and then you see like that there's somewhere that go fast, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna throw my run and just kind of like accept the other attack, the range attack, so they don't do that much damage. I don't know, like I think overall it's a fairly interesting monster. Just because you basically have to make a decision about if you're gonna trade your time for like a slow fight, or you should take a risky fight instead. I don't dislike that. So at the very least, a decent monster. The hippo. The hippo, there's this whole synergy going with the cores, the mummy, the hippo. Like there's a lot going on the first floor. The trap kind of fills that role too, but I think the hippo is like even more. It's a fairly hard to fight non-undead that appears on the floor you might want to rezo. So he's like kind of like the thing that makes it so your rezo, you have to be careful not to like accidentally attack your griffin at the same time, because then if you do, you have to quit the rezo and maybe even have to use a steal. He's an interesting fight because you can burst him down possibly and kill him without a steal, especially if you're a range DPS, because he's one of the few monsters that does not open with a tank buster. He opens with a circle AoE, then it goes into the tank buster phase. So like if you delay that circle AoE by a long time, you don't actually have to deal with the tank buster threat, you know. I think it's decent. If it wasn't for the whole tank buster thing, I would probably make it more like an average thing, but the tank buster thing is pretty cool. When PotD monsters as a food tier list. I mean, what's the most delicious thing in that tier list? The Sprite? It's like an ice cream. Like, masterpiece. Masterpiece. My favorite ice cream. The raid can appear on all 10 floors. The raid is... It's a somewhat... good fight. Sorry, it's like... It's really rough if you're gonna fight a raid and you don't have room to hide, but usually it's not gonna be as bad as a mummy, for example. It's like a little less bad than the mummy. Now the raid feels in a very important niche where it's like... It's basically the artillery that's shooting at you non-stop on this set because it can spawn on any floor, right? You can stun, I believe. Let me just remember what you can use against the raid. Yes, you can stun the rate, so you can stun for uptime or stun for like damage prevention. The accurate spots, like the thing it chases you from other rooms, is actually fairly big, so you really have to plan for it. It's also very nice with the rezo, because it's a undead. It's funny. It's a undead. It's an undead, so it's weak as a rezo, but it also counters the rezo at the same time, because if you're doing rezo on other things and then this guy shoots at you, it can actually lead to your death like very fast. Like if you're not ready for it, you can actually die very fast. Like for example, if I'm trying to rezo a Gobu and then I do like one blast, but then as soon as my first blast goes out, I start getting cast my pots at me. Now I have to run back and I'm in a really big risk of dying. Now I have to like make sure my second blast is like in a different location and it stuns the Gobu and then I can finish it off, right? It's a very good mod. It's proximity, which I don't know if I like that it's proximity though. I don't know. Like there's a lot of proximity on this set. Like, I feel like the raid being proximity, it's maybe a bit overkill. Maybe it would have been better as a side monster. Either way, but the accurate parts is like very fun. Like it's a very good thing. Like we see so many people die to accurate spots, man. Yeah, I know I'm saying that like it's a good thing, but it's kind of a good thing design wise. Like it's a really threatening monster that also is not that bad to fight, but can be bad if you have room to fight. It's a masterpiece. I really like that monster. It's a masterpiece. Even though I think it would be better inside itself proximity. I really like the dynamic with the Rezo where it like both counters it, but also is weak to it. On its dragon. So this is a proximity monster that has a cone and then a gaze cone. It hits fairly hard. However, I really don't think it's a good monster because he's really big and he's proximity on a set where everything's proximity. He's like the biggest culprit in my opinion. He's like... He can't be stunned too. And what I don't like about when you resolve that guy is that it's kind of RNG if you have time to get the third blast before he starts doing the side cone at you. So it's... I don't know. I think it's a fairly awful monster. Like it really should not have such a big hitbox. The tier list is about how I feel about the design of the monsters in general. Do I feel they're designed well? Do I feel like they accomplish their goals? So like, you know, for example, I feel like the Raid is a very nicely designed monster. For like the core is very nicely designed. For like the monkey, the worms are nicely designed. And then on the other side, I feel like the Diplo is badly designed. Winter is horrible. It's almost in the wrong set. Like Flood Dragon has way too many issues with getting stuck. Like Onyx Dragon is like way too big and it's proximity on the floor where like everything's proximity already. So that's kind of why it's a very subjective tier list. Basically, you can see it as like things at the top are more interesting, things at the bottom are less interesting. Like just that's kind of the way you can see it. The Harryman, Fashan. Fashan, it's kind of like the Sprite but upgraded. It's the same kind of deal as the Sprite where it's a caster that just has consistent damage and can surprise you with crits. Now, the thing I like about the Fashan is it's like... It's a kiteable monster. However, you don't want... If you don't kite it, you take significantly less damage. In fact, you take less damage enough to basically not need a steal. So, like, there's some decision to make about the Fashan where, like, you can... If you are able to stand still because you prepare a place for it or you paid attention, then you might be able to actually not steal it, right? And you can still, I think you can interrupt the cast, but you can at the very least stun it and like, you know, prevent the damage. It has like the death cone, but honestly, it's kind of whatever. Like, it's just like a, are you paying attention check? But I mean, you're paying attention on the last set, so at least I hope you are. It's also nice. It feels a very nice niche by being a patrol that's not a undead. where there's gonna be a lot of undeads, because then it's like he makes the rezos very tricky to pull off. Not impossible, but like very tricky, because you have to keep this guy in mind at all times and pay attention. I think it's a well-designed monster. So next we have the course, but it's not the course. It's called the bicep, I think. Yeah, the bicephalus. This guy is a very hard-hitting double auto attacker, tank buster, which has a circle AoE that it does sometimes. However, you cannot stun it. You can slow it, I think, but you cannot stun it. So this guy has the same problem as the knight, where like I feel like the fact that it can't be stunned is kind of annoying. It's monsters that you need still for quite often, but also can't be stunned. So like it makes the rezo like not that fun against them, but like sometimes you have to do a rezo. And without a steal, it's not very consistent. You can't get one shot without a steal. But we're talking about the bicep first, yeah. But the bicep, it's the same issue where everything's proximity, and he's proximity, and he's annoying because he's definitely gonna need a steal. But like he's not like, it's not like a flood dragon where you're gonna like avoid him because it's proximity, so you do have to fight him. Like, I don't know, like I don't really think he's filling a niche or anything. He's just kind of like a hard-hitting thing, but he's like, his proximity is too much. I feel like he's fairly bad. Tier list, yep. I definitely underestimated how long that would take. I thought it would take me 2 hours to do all of this. I was way off, bro. I was way off. My voice gonna give out before. Anyway, let's wrap up PotD. The knight is like the bicep, but way better because it's the same. It fills the same niche as being like an unstunnable undead that's annoying and needs steal, but it has like it has this like the donut, which is basically the time you have to like run away right when it ends, or you can like heal or like do something. And then if you take a while to fight him, he has like an enrage, which you can avoid if you have room to kite, right? So there's like a lot of complexity because you can pull him. And then if you're like a pretty high DPS, there's maybe some cope that you can no-steal him if you burst him hard. But then if you don't burst him hard and you have to like run away from him to kite, then you're gonna reach the enrage. Or if you're like a tank or something, or healer, you're gonna reach the enrage, and then the enrage can be dealt with as long as you plan for it before by like making space, you know? He's like the bicep, but actually interesting. Like that's how I would call him. Like he's an interesting bicep. And also he's like way better if you're gonna rezo with no stun, because he does tank buster attack, but then he does the donut. So like you're not actually gonna die to him without a steal. Gobu is nice. I know he does something different in the party. I think in the party he sucks someone in or something. He's like a very hard-hitting monster. Very hard-hitting. However, he's stunnable and sleepable, so there's a lot of counterplay. Also, he's like a rezo stunnable monster, which means, and he's late in the set, right? So it's kind of a nice surprise whenever you're able to get free kills because there's Gobus. On the last few floors, most, if not all, things are undeads. But so it's very nice when you get a stunnable undead. I mean, he's like a Triceratops, but on crack, right? That's his role. He's a Triceratops on crack, proximity and everything, except you get the rezo counterplay as well. I think that puts him in at least decent. And we got the last PotD monster there, the Gravekeeper. Gravekeeper is very well designed, in my opinion. It's a hard-hitting tank buster double auto attacker that just does that. It's a push roll, but it's sound. It's a undead, but it's not stunnable. So like it's, and also it appears on the last few floors where you're likely to use like 2 resos or so, right? So it's a very nice amount of complexity it adds, because this guy's there, like you can reso to kill him. However, it's really hard. Now there's still the issue that if you don't have a still, you might just get RNG'd and die because it's gonna interrupt like one of your casts. But I mean, I kind of assume you have a still running when you get to these floors. Hopefully, right? I don't find it as big of a deal, I guess, as the bicep. But like, he's cool because he can combo you really bad with the raid. Like the raid and the Gravekeeper is a terrifying combo, because if you ever are walking to get past the Gravekeeper, but then there is a raid shooting you, then now you have to make the decision of like, well, it's not really a decision. Like you have to run. Like you already fucked up. You have to run and pull the Gravekeeper, and things get really messy from this point on. And then when you reso, it's like this guy's tricky because there's gonna be so many of them patrolling. You have to like make sure you don't pull them, which means you have to make sure you plan for the raids, because then if a raid shoots at you, you have to start running as a reso, which means you will die if you start casting as a DPS at least. It's a very I like that it's the hardest hitting monster in that it has like no bullshit, right? It's just pure damage. It's a very good monster, man. Maybe even a masterpiece. Yeah. I think that's fair. Before I go Evan High, what are my thoughts on the Ratchies and the Bits? Hey, we're gonna talk about them in the Evan High segment in like 10 minutes. Hopefully you're still there. I'm gonna briefly mention them. They're not like there, but I'll briefly talk about them. But first, like while I'm still on the PotD like vibe, let me just make sure that the list kind of looks like it made sense. Like, do I think the worm, the monkey, the patrol cores, the raid, and the Gravekeeper all are a masterpiece in design, right? Like, do I think they can't be improved? I think the raid could be side instead of proximity. I don't really like that it's a side. I think the Gravekeeper not being stunnable is actually like, it's fine because it's the very last challenge you get. I think I like all of these in Masterpiece. I think that this might be the tiers where like I might change my mind. Like the Enzu, I just don't think it deserves Masterpiece because of the like the stun one shot risk. Like it doesn't feel fun or like well designed. We just died with stun one shot like crit. Like, I just don't like it. It's very good except that. I do think the Triceratops is pretty damn good. I think the tofu, the pudding, I think it's well designed. I think the Devilet is well designed. I think the Art Demon is well designed. I think the Wyver is... I think it's kind of between the two. Let me just put it there and like think about him at the end. The Doll Mill is very nice, very well designed with the landmine floors. The Bird of Paradise, Bird of... Oh wait, I'm not playing Magic. The Bird of the Palace. Sorry, the Bird of the Palace. Why did I put him in well designed? Let me just remember. This one I'm not sure. Because he's a nice combo with the monkey, huh? He's like the thing you want to fight, but he's also fairly dangerous. Honestly, I think maybe Riz deserves to be bumped down by one. I'll see again. Like these are pretty strong contenders with it, man. Sprite, I think, is a really good encounter. One more Kampa. I think also deserves to be knocked down. Garm. So see, I don't put the Garmin Masterpiece for one good reason. It's a proximity, very fat monster, so it's very hard to avoid. I don't think that's a problem by itself. However, the problem is its HP is very high. So light. But then you can't do anything if it's coming your way. You have to fight it. So like, you know, you're getting punished for something that's not even your fault. So like, if it had a regular HP pool, sure. But because of the HP issue, plus it's a really big proximity monster, I think it's just well designed. I don't really think it's a masterpiece for me. Archaeosaur is well designed, not necessarily because it has interesting mechanics, but because it's like it appears in a very nice spot, like of the set. Mummy is well designed because of the whole like synergy with the bicep. Fashan is not. It's just like the whole Rezo like thing going on, and the fact that if you kite him you lose more health, and if you don't kite him you risk like you have to prepare for it, but then you can't really do him without steel. That's very nice. I think Wyvern deserves to be there. Yeah, I still like it there. So we got the bird. Yeah, wolf. Yeah, bot. Yeah, Tursus. Maybe average. Croc, yeah. Milodon, yeah. Cyclop, yeah. Shapti, yeah. Good, very good. Shapti is like very good introduction to the 151 plus. What is this again? This is the well, I know what it is, but I don't remember its name. Nah, definitely average. Maybe even uninteresting. Lion, yeah, decent. Crawler, yeah. Like the crawler, like I said, I don't want to really think of fighting it. It's more like a don't pull monster, but it's sound. Trap in decent, yeah. Hippo in decent, yeah. Knight in decent and Gobu. Gobu, yeah. Knight. Maybe Knight deserves a bit bumped up. I think Knight deserves to be bumped up. Low, well designed. So I look at these things and I think the Knight is a little higher. Yeah, okay. Okay, are the rare monsters average? Yeah. I think they're average. Like they really hurt a lot if you fight one. And the fact that you can reso it from any set, that's fairly interesting. And the fact that you can't witch chain also is fairly interesting. DPI in average, nah, uninteresting. Yeah. We sent? Yeah. Claw, yeah. Yeah, he's like the tutorial shoot at you from other rooms. He has like this enrage. It's a low average, but I don't know if I like seeing the soul flavor there, man. Why did I say this guy wasn't bad? I said this guy wasn't bad because you can prevent some healing by reducing its damage or like shielding yourself. However, at this level, you don't really have tools to do it that much. I think it's bad, dude. Yeah. Alright, Sarko, Lindworm. You know, I think the bear deserves to get buffed a little bit because he's like the landmine fodder on the landmine floors. I think he's at the very least uninteresting. All of these do look good. So do I think the worst things that are designed in the PotD are these 5? Vinaragoon. Yeah, I mean it's all full design wise. Like, it does nothing because it's so chiselable. Diplo, fucking fat proximity monster that is not interesting to fight and has like basically a no danger time waster if you don't have a stun. Yep, that's awful. Winter is awful. Flood Dragon, man. I feel really bad playing the Flood Dragon in awful, but it's like the witch, the not moving bug is too much, dude. It's too much. Like, it's, you can't have a bot where the monster can't move, but like the bot is on a monster that is so dangerous that you can't fight on like both jobs. Like, that's insane, man. Yeah, like the stairs that it sit. If it wasn't for that, I think like honestly decent. Like, but there's like no counterplay to a Flood Dragon and start watching the key, and it's like, I don't know, it's just not fair. It's awful. It feels awful. Onyx Dragon also feels awful because fat proximity where everything's proximity. Like maybe nah, there's like they're so big, man. Like every time you see Flood Dragon, it's like you gotta pull 3 per room. Okay, I like this for PotD.